الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بالإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So as we continue discussing the book Bulugh al-Maram by Al-Hafiz Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah, and we're discussing matters pertaining to Kitab al-Tahara, and in specific the bab that he titled Bab Adab Qada al-Haja. So matters pertaining to how we should concerning toilet manners and what are the ahkam that relates to this. So today inshallah ta'ala we'll be continuing discussing of those ahkam that relates to Qada al-Haja, fulfilling of one's regarding concerning toilet manners. That we discuss one of the hadith that discuss another of those topics regarding matters relating to what are the things that are allowed and not allowed. So today inshallah ta'ala we'll read the hadith of Abu Ayub al-Ansari with a continuation of the hadith or the topic that we're discussing in the last session. So this hadith is like a continuation which discuss, as we had stated last week, to discuss in specific matters relating to are we allowed, what's the ruling regarding a person facing the direction of the Qiblah while he's relieving of himself. So we discussed the hadith that pertain to this particular discussion. So the hadith will be read and we'll go through discussing the hadith as we would normally do bi'awnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Naam, tafaddal.
Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. Hadith 85, narrated Abu Ayub radiallahu anh. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Neither face nor turn your back to the Qiblah while defecating or urinating, but turn towards the east or the west." Reported by the Sab'a.
So the author, Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, he mentioned للسبع من حديث أبي أيوب رضي الله عنه لا تستقبلوا القبلة ولا تستدبروها بالغائط ولا بول ولكن شرقوا أو غربوا. So he mentioned this hadith regarding concerning of those matters that relates to toilet manners that facing the Qibla. So of those things that we'll discuss regarding this hadith, first that he mentioned, this hadith is narrated min hadith Abi Ayub al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu. So in brief regarding this Sahabi al-Jalil Abu Ayub radiyallahu anhu that has been mentioned regarding his biography, it is mentioned huwa Abu Ayub, that's his kunya. As for his name, it is Khalid ibn Zayd al-Ansari. Khalid ibn Zayd al-Ansari Najjari. Khalid ibn Zayd al-Ansari Najjari. And it is mentioned that he is more renowned for his kunya Abu Ayub al-Ansari. So he's more famous, he's more renowned for his kunya Abu Ayub al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu. And this Sahabi that mentioned that he participated in many of the battles, Al-Aqaba, then also that eventually came to Medina, where he was involved in the construction, the building of the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. When the Prophet ﷺ entered Medina and started building of his masjid, Ayub, he came then, and also he participated in this, and also he participating in the building of the Prophet ﷺ masjid, and also that he stayed with him, that he stayed with Abu Ayub. Then I mentioned that the Prophet ﷺ also that he made as to brotherhood when the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, of the thing that he implemented was making a form of brotherhood between those from the Muhajir, those who came from Mecca and migrated to Medina, and the Ansar, those who were of the Ansar, the people of Medina. So Abu Ayub being from of the locals of the Ansar, that as we mentioned, the Prophet ﷺ, when he came to Medina, that he stayed in the home of Abu Ayub, as they were involved in the building of the masjid, construction of the masjid, and also the Prophet ﷺ house. Then of the thing that he did, the Prophet ﷺ, that he made a brotherhood pact between some of the Sahaba from Medina and Mecca, with Abu Ayub, that he placed him along with Mus'ab ibn Umair, that he placed the brotherhood between both of them, where they shared certain things. Also, Abu Ayub radiyallahu anhu, that he participated in the battles, many battles of Badr, and all the battles that came after. So Abu Ayub of those who participated in the Battle of Badr and also the other battles that followed. And also is of those that he participated in the Futuhat, concerning the Muslim who made conquests and the opening of other areas. So he was involved in matters regarding a jihad. Also regarding concern, so he was very much involved in matters pertaining to a jihad and did not per se missed out on any. So Abu Ayyub didn't per se missed out on these battles that were concerning in Bilad al-Rum, that he died in one of those in the battle that occurred in Bilad al-Rum in Rome, and this was in the zaman, the time of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. So in the time, the Khalifa, the time of the reign of Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, then Abu Ayyub he died in the battles regarding that conquest and into the lands of Rome, into Rome, that area that he died in those battles. It is stated that he died in here, Isnataini wa Khamsin, that he died here the 52nd year of Al-Hijrah. He died in the 52nd year of the Hijrah. So that's concerning Abu Ayyub in brief. As for the hadith of Takhrij of the hadith, that the author rahimahullah, that he mentioned للسبعة من حديث أبي أيوب. So he mentioned As-Sab'a. So as Ibn Hajar rahimahullah in this book Bulugh al-Maram, that he have given somewhat certain so he have mentioned regarding concerning that certain hadith he mentioned As-Sab'a. So he mentioned as for is what he referred to as As-Sab'a, it will include Bukhari, the hadith in the Muslim, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Nasai, Ibn Mاجه, and Musnad ibn Ahmad. So those are with him As-Sab'a. So he had these terminology that he used, and of that As-Sab'a. So Sab'a it means Kutubu Sitta, plus also the Musnad of Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala. So again the hadith that can be found, this hadith that can be found in Bukhari, Muslim, Ahmad, Abu Dawud, Nasai, Tirmidhi, Ibn Mاجه, as some of the sources of this hadith, and also others. Others also include Al-Bayhaqi and the likes. And this hadith is narrated upon, as they mention, min Tariq al-Zuhri, and Ata ibn Yazid, al-Laythi, and Ayub, rata'ala anhu, and Nabi alayhi salam. So that's concerning the hadith that have been mentioned. So the hadith in the Kutub al-Sitta, plus the Musnad of Imam Ahmad and others. So they mentioned that of the thing that have been, and some narration, it mentions certain ziyada of this particular hadith, where they mention that the wording of this hadith, the wording that is mentioned here, is more so in line with the wording of Abu Dawud. So the wording of the hadith is more so the wording of Abu Dawud regarding concerning what is mentioned. Even though the wording of Abu Dawud, it doesn't have concerning mention, وَلَا تَسْتَبْدِرُوهَا لَا يَسْتَبْدِرُوهَا, that it is not mentioned in Abu Dawud. So that is not in Abu Dawud, but it is mentioned here. That they also mentioned the second of those things related to this particular hadith, where Sheikh Abdullah Fawzan, Hafidullah Ta'ala, or Ra'au, that he mentioned regarding concern that when it is stated by the author, وَلِلسَّبْعَ, and this hadith mentioned, and the hadith is mentioned by As-Sab'a, collected by As-Sab'a, the 7 books of hadith, min hadith, from the hadith of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, قال لا تستقبلوا القبلة الحديث. He mentioned regarding that it is given as if this hadith is, this narration is from Abu that he said what have been better is that the author Ibn Hajar rahimahullah has mentioned marfu'an. He should have mentioned the word min hadith Abi Ayub marfu'an. So it is clear concerning the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So some may believe that the hadith of Abu Ayub, but rather the hadith is upon the Prophet ﷺ. But the author Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, it have been better if you have included after saying min hadith Abi Ayub al-Ansari marfu'an. So include this word marfu'an. So it is it indicates and clarify clearly that this is the statement of the Prophet ﷺ and not the statement of Abu Ayub al-Ansari rata'ala anhu. So as for the hadith, that and this hadith also is muqtasar, they mentioned. So this hadith, as for what is discussed regarding concerning the ahkam, regarding concerning that is a hadith, where the hadith also meant that other wording of the hadith it mentioned regarding concerning that in addition to the hadith, also some of the wording of the hadith it mentioned that Abu Ayub anhu, that he mentioned regarding concerning this hadith that he found the people of Sham doing this, but then they would that is something they found the people of Sham that they were doing of this act, doing of this practice. But then he mentioned regarding concerning this matter that he mentioned قال Abu Ayub فقدمنا الشام, that we came to Sham, فوجدنا, and we found مراحيض, that concerning that the people, their toilets, قد بنيت نحو الكعبة, that we found that their toilets, that they were facing the Kaaba. Then he mentioned ننحرف عنها, but we concerned that no, we turned away from this, نستغفر الله, and we seek refuge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from this. So that's also of the addition of this word. So Abu Ayub, he found that this was a practice as to how the people of Sham have built their toilets facing the Kaaba, but then they were kind of somewhat slightly turned away from this. They kind of somewhat tried to divert from this, and also they will seek refuge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from this act. So that's concerning this particular hadith. As for the ahkam, so as for this hadith per se is a discuss concerning the matter regarding this hadith to discuss bayan hukum. So this hadith is to discuss, clarify the hukum, istiqbal al-Qiblah, that a person facing the Qiblah, hal qada al-haja. So this hadith is discussed concerning what's the rule pertaining to a person facing the Qiblah and also turning his back to the Qiblah while fulfilling the call of nature. So what is inshallah ta'ala will be the matter to be discussed. And this matter somewhat been discussed in depth by some of the ulama. So of those who kind of somewhat mentioned the main aqwal, and some kind of and some of those who have explained the book, that they have mentioned the various aqwal regarding this matter. And the amount of aqwal that have been stated regarding this matter, it's around 6 aqwal of the ulama on this matter. So the ulama discuss or differ regarding their position they take on facing the Qiblah while the person is relieving of himself. What the person is doing, as we said, the person is urinating or the person is defecating. So whichever of the person doing a number 1, as they say, or a number 2, is it allowed for a person to face the Qiblah, or as while fulfilling this act, that he has his back facing the Qiblah while relieving of himself. So what's the aqwal of the ulama on this matter? That on this matter, that there's aqwal between the ulama. The first of those aqwal of the ulama on this topic, this discussion, those of the ulama who mention qawl al-mana al-mutlaqa. Those of the ulama who mention it is not allowed at all for a person to face the Qiblah or to have his back turned to the Qiblah while he's fulfilling the call of nature, whether it's a number 1, urinating or defecating. That's concerning, and whether they add whether the person is inside a building or outside in the open. So for them, it is not allowed mutlaqa for a person to have his back facing the Qiblah or facing the Qiblah while relieving of himself. And also, this applies whether the person is inside a building or is outside a building in the open area. That's the first view of the ulama on this matter. And of those who are inclined towards this view, what they mention is the madhab of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, as it is mentioned in this particular matter, where he redirect himself from what he found as the practice of what was there in Sham regarding how their toilets was facing. So that's the view of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu. Also, they mention this qawl is the qawl that is the qawl that is said to be the qawl of Sufyan al-Thawri. Also, Ibrahim al-Naq'i, the madhab of the Hanafiya, riwayah and Imam Ahmad, and also is the view taken by Ibn Hazm in his book Al-Muhalla, and many of the ulama also are aligned to that view. Many of the ulama who have aligned to this particular view. And of those they mentioned Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, Ibn al-Arabi, al-Maliki, of Shawkani, and also of contemporary Shaykh al-Albani, alayhim rahmatullah, tabarak ta'ala. So those are the ulama who have taken this view. So we have mentioned the method of the ulama al-Qudama, of them Abu Ayub al-Ansari, from the Sahaba, of the Salaf, Sufyan al-Thawri, Ibrahim al-Naqai, the method of the Hanafiya, Riwayah, a narration, and Imam Ahmad, that he takes his position, also the view taken by Ibn Hazm, also of other of the ulama, Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, his student, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi, and also the likes of Shawkani, Ibn al-Arabi al-Maliki, and also Shaykh al-Albani of contemporaries. So that's concerning aqwal of the ulama, and they have taken this view, the dalil for this view that they have presented, the hadith that they mentioned, the hadith of Salman al-Farisi, that we mentioned before, that we discussed last week in the last session before this, and also the hadith of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, and also you have other hadith that they use regarding that come to this conclusion of those hadith. The hadith of Abu هريرة رضي الله عنه قال ربي أنا النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام قال إنما أنا لكم مثل الوالد. The Prophet said, I'm to you as if that of a father figure. إذا أتيتم الغائط, if any of you wish to relieve of himself, فلا تستقبلوا القبلة, that you are not to face the Qiblah, ولا تستبروها, and also not to give your back to the Qiblah. Then I mentioned that hadith, it shows that it is not allowed. So the hadith in the Ahmad, Abu Dawud, Nasai, Ibn Mاجه, and of those who, Nawawi rahimahullah, all the hadith to be authentic, and also the asl of hadith in the Sahih Muslim. And other hadith that may be used regarding this particular matter. And other hadith, some of those hadith are somewhat on the discussion. The hadith, Naha Rasulullah alayhi wasallam an nastaqbal qiblataini bil bawl wal gha'it. So a hadith of Ma'akil ibn Abi, Ma'akil al-Asadi, where he mentioned the Prophet of Islam that he forbade us, the Prophet in the midst of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he forbade for us to face the Qiblah, both Qiblatain, while we are relieving ourselves by way of urine and bowl. That particular hadith in Ahmad, Abu Dawud, by Ibn Mاجه, and now rahimahullah, all hadith to be Jayd, Hasan, but Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, all the hadith to be Da'if. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, all the hadith to be Da'if. So some discussion regarding that particular hadith. But overall, that's the position taken by some of the ulama, and they use other hadith that discuss regarding the impermissibility for one to face the Qiblah while relieving of oneself. The second opinion of the ulama on this matter is those who mention Abaha, Istiqbal al-Qibla wa Istidbariha. That of the ulama, it is allowed for a person, give a permissibility for one to face the Qibla, and also to turn one back towards the Qibla while fulfilling the call of nature, while relieving of oneself. Fil bunyan, if the person is inside a building, wa fi ghayri, and also outside a building. So the second opinion, that the awlat is something which is allowed for the person to do so, whether the person is inside a building or the person is outside in the open area, that is allowed to face the Qibla or to turn one back to the Qibla. They mentioned it is something which is allowed. And of those who of this opinion, they mention Awra ibn Zubair, Rabi' ibn Abdul Rahman, or Rabi' ibn Abi Abdul Rahman, and they mention also Dawud al-Zahiri. And they have come to this conclusion. I mentioned that one, Bara al-Asliya, that the original ruling on this is that there's nothing that stops you from facing the Qibla unless there's a clear dalil. And according to them, that they claim concerning that a hadith regarding this matter, it is mansukha. That a hadith that they are somewhat abrogated regarding this matter. where they mention that it has been mansukh based upon the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that's in the Ahmad or Ibn Mاجه, where the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned already concerning ذكر لرسول الله رسول عليه السلام أن ناسا يقرعون أن يستقبلوا القبلة بفروجهم. That is hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. It is mentioned that it was mentioned to the Prophet ﷺ that the people dislike facing the Qiblah with their private parts. فقال عليه الصلاة والسلام, so the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, he says, أو قد فعلوها, that if you have done so, حولوا مقعدتيه قبلة, that you should turn away your maq'ad from the Qiblah. That so they mentioned this hadith, though it is weak. That is hadith, that it is weak. So this hadith, where the Prophet is somewhat so they mentioned this hadith is da'if. That hadith is da'if regarding this particular matter. So when I mentioned that they said that so it mentioned that he was objecting to them regarding this matter, So that's concerning of those aqwal of the second view on this matter. The third opinion is the opinion of state concerning يجوز استقبال القبلة واستدبارها, that those who hold it is allowed for one to permissibility for one to face the Qibla and also to turn one back to the Qibla while fulfilling the call of nature, while fi bunyan, while you're inside a building, and it is not allowed if the person is outside the building in an open area. So that view, that it is allowed to do so if you're inside a building, you are surrounded by a building, but if you're in the open, you're not allowed. That's concerning the third view. As for this view, is the view that I mentioned, ومذهب Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, and a riwayah and Imam Ahmad. So this view that state it is permissible for a person to face the Qibla or turn one back to the Qibla while relieving oneself is allowed if the person is inside a building, a cubicle is inside a building. It's allowed, but if the person is outside in the open, is not allowed. So they make a distinction regarding those who are inside a building and those who are not. If you're inside, a permissibility, and if you are outside a building, the open area, then you are not allowed. And they mentioned that Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, I've mentioned that Nasaba Ibn Hajar rahimahullah in Fath al-Bari, that this position, that this view is the view of the Jumhur of the ulama, majority of the ulama. And he mentioned in stating this matter, وَهُوَ أَعْدَلْ أَقْوَالِ, that is the more balanced, more correct view. So this adal, that is the more just view amongst the ulama. So the most, so it always to be the most, the better of the view taken by the ulama, where those who make a distinction for the person who's inside a building, you're allowed, and those who are in the open, outside, open area, you're not allowed. So that's the view taken by some of the ulama regarding this matter, and of the evidence that they use to make that distinction. They said that the proof that it is allowed to be done indoors. They mentioned the hadith of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu in the Bukhari and Muslim, where قال ارتقيت, we mentioned that I elevated فوق ظهر بيت Hafsa, that he went up on the roof of the house of Hafsa radiallahu anha, لبعد حاجته, for to fulfill certain needs of him, to do certain things. That they mentioned, فرأيت رسول الله عليه الصلاة, that I saw the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يقضي حاجتي, that the Prophet was fulfilling was carrying out the acts of nature, مستدبر القبلة مستقبل الشام, where his back was facing the Qibla and he was facing Sham. So they mentioned that this proof that while indoors, that they mentioned that that he saw the Prophet fulfilling his needs. So he can somewhat mention that this was showing the permissibility of this, but with the condition it is inside. It is inside. But and the hadith of Salman, the hadith of Abu Ayub, this in regard to the person who's outdoors. This is in relation to the person who's outside. So they mentioned that the text that shows the permissibility, where the Prophet ﷺ was somewhat facing, or was given his back, placed his back to the Qiblah, then he was in an enclosed area. He was inside of a building, according to this view. And the hadith that says you're not allowed to do so is to be taken in cases where a person is outdoors. So that's concerning that view of trying to combine between both all the hadith that relate to this matter, or to harmonize between these hadiths. The fourth opinion of the ulama, anna nahi, that I mentioned, that as for nahi, an istiqbal al-qibla wa istidbariha, that as for the hadith regarding the person facing the qibla in relieving of himself, and also having his back turned to the qibla in relieving of himself, they mention mahmul ala karahiyat at-tanzih. That is something which is this is to be taken as something which is disliked, but not to the degree of haram. So they said that these hadith are looked at regarding the Prophet ﷺ forbidding us to face the Qibla or turn our backs to the Qibla while fulfilling the call of nature. This is to be taken in light of all these texts by way of tanzih. And they said, no, they kind of somewhat so, their way of harmonizing between the hadith. They say that the hadith that say it is forbidden, of the hadith of Abu Ayub, the hadith of Salman al-Farisi, those hadiths say it is explicitly forbidden to be done. They said, as for the hadith of Ibn Umar that we just mentioned, that this hadith shows that they mentioned the Prophet, Ra'aytu Rasulullah, that I saw the Prophet yaqdi hajatu, that I saw the Prophet fulfilling his call of nature, mustadbir al-Qibla, and his back turned to the Qibla, mustaqbil al-Sham, and he was facing of Sham. So they said, no, that shows that a degree of permissibility, and that degree of permissibility, it shows that the middle part of this, the middle ruling is, it is disliked, not completely haram. That's the view taken by some of the ulama. Also, they said that this view that is something which is disliked is a view that has been transmitted or narrated on Abu Ayub al-Ansari. That is seen also, it is narrated that Abu Ayub Ansari also is of this view that it is disliked, not completely haram, and not completely, and so that it is disliked. Also, the method of Abu Imam, or the view of Imam Abu Hanifa, of riwayah and Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, also narration of Ahmad, and also Abu Thur. So, of those who also of this view or narration on them, we have the method of Abu Thur, riwayah and Imam Abu Hanifa, and also Imam Ahmad alayhim rahmatullahi tabarak ta'ala. So they try to harmonize between the hadith of Abu Ayub, the hadith of Ibn Umar, and those likes, to say it is something which is not haram, but to the degree of being allowed but disliked to be done. Something which is disliked, preferred that a person not do it, but not completely haram. The fifth opinion on this matter, yajuz istidbar, that a person is allowed, istidbar al-Qibla, it is allowed for the person to face, the person to turn his back to the Qibla while he's fulfilling the call of nature, whether the person is inside a building or outside, in the open area. Wala yajuz, but also it is not allowed for a person, istiqbal, not for a person to face the Qibla while he's relieving of himself, whether inside or outside. So that view, they look at, they make a distinction regarding facing the Qibla and the person turning his back to the Qibla while he is carrying out the act of nature. So that's how they try to harmonize between the different adillah, and that's again concerning that, the hadith of Ibn Umar. Regarding that Ibn Umar, when he saw the Prophet ﷺ, when he was facing the Qibla, he was turning his back to the Qibla while he was carrying out the act of nature. So they said, so according to this view, that it is allowed for a person to turn his back to the Qibla, his back facing the Qibla, while he's carrying out this act, whether he's inside or outside a building. As for the person facing the Qiblah while he's doing this act, then they take it, their position that it's not allowed. It's not allowed. And as we mentioned, they use concerning the hadith of Ibn Umar and the other hadith regarding these matters. And the last of those opinion on this matter, which will be the sixth of those opinion mentioned, يجوز استدبار القبلة عند قضاء الحاجة. That is allowed for a person to have his back face the Qiblah while he's fulfilling the call of nature. Only when he's inside a building. Only when he's inside a building. So the person inside a building is in his toilet inside a building, is allowed to have his back towards the Qiblah, but ولا يجوز, that is not allowed for a person that to face the Qiblah inside a building or outside a building. That's concerning this view, and that's a view that is taken by some of the Hanabila. A view that is taken by some of the Hanabila. So I mentioned that. So these are the aqwal of the ulama on this matter. So you have various views on this matter. And it based upon a hadith, those hadith regarding that relates to this matter, the hadith that we have discussed, the hadith of Salman al-Farisi, the hadith that we mentioned here, and studying the hadith of Abu Ayub, both given the meaning of not allowed. Then we have the hadith of Ibn Umar, that when he went on the top of the house of Hafsa and he saw the Prophet Islam, that he was carrying out act of nature, and his back was facing the Qiblah. So it's how to harmonize between those hadith. So you'll find these different ways of how the ulama try to harmonize between this hadith. Some who tried بين ترجيح or بين and nasakh. Those of the hadith has been abrogated, and those try to make al-jam between those hadith, try to combine between all the hadith and come up with one ruling. So you have different approaches that are applied. So that's concerning this discussion on this matter. Last time said that as for of the views that are more said that qawl that is referred to as the qawl of Jumhur of the ulama, that it is allowed if you're inside a building and not allowed outside. That's also that's of the qawl of Jumhur of the ulama. So that and also the first view is more of the safest view, that you're not allowed inside or outside a building at all. But the Jumhur of the ulama, the person, if you're inside a building, it is allowed, and if you're outside, it is not allowed. So said you have these various aqwal on this matter. At-tarjiyah in this matter, laysa amr as-sahl, says not something which is, so it requires a person to look deep into this matter regarding concerning the final conclusion. That Sheikh Abdullah Fawzan, that when he discussed the matter, he mentioned that in a qawl awwal ta'mim an-nahi, وبه قال الجمهور قال جماعة من أهل العلم. That he mentioned concern that to know that ta'mim, that of the ulama who can somewhat take a general opinion that it's not allowed يحرم استقبال واستدبار في القضاء الحاجة في الفضاء والبنيان. Then so he mentioned that this view of the general view would be that it's not allowed for a person to face the Qiblah while he's carrying out the act of nature, pointing that direction, first in that direction of the Qiblah, nor is it allowed for the person that he has his back turned to the Qiblah while he's carrying out the act of nature. That's the general view. That is also whether the person is inside a building or outside a building. That he mentioned هو مشهور من مذهب أبو حنفية رواية عن إمام أحمد اختارها أبو بكر عبد العزيز وشيخ الإسلام ابن تيمية, Ibn Qayyim, Ibn al-Arabi, Ibn Hazm, Shawkani, Mubarak Furi, who is the one who explained Jami' al-Tirmidhi, also Sheikh Muhammad Ibrahim, the previous Mufti of Saudi Arabia, and as we mentioned also Sheikh Albani rahimahullah, that many of this view, so is more inclined towards this opinion, is more inclined towards this first view, that he mentioned regarding the An-Nahi waradat bis-Sari al-Qawl, that this view is somewhat very straightforward regarding this matter, wal-khitab li jami' al-ummah, that also the khitab, the address is to the entire ummah, the Prophet ﷺ and also others. And I mentioned that also al-illah, al-nahi, ta'zeem wa ihtiram al-qibla, and also this nahi is a form of showing reverence and respect for the qibla, while we are forbidden to face the direction of the qibla or have our backs turned towards the direction of the qibla while we are fulfilling the call of nature. So to know, with all of those things, that is more inclined towards the view that is the view that one should not, whether inside a building or outside a building. And Allah, that's concerning of that view that he more inclined towards the order to be, that Allahu Alam, the call which is Adhar, the more clearer view on this matter. So as for other direction mentioned, Sharq wa Gharabu, if the person is not in those directions of the Qibla, then any other direction. So the person, if he's not, so the person face the Qibla, face the direction that is away from the Qibla. The person will face the direction away from the Qibla according, and if the person is in a situation he is unable, then the person make istighfar. The person unable, based upon the situation, is unable to turn away from the Qibla, then after he finish and he have come out, then he should, as in hadith of Abu Ayub, that he mentioned that nanharifu, that we try to turn away from it, and he mentioned nastaghfirullah, and then we seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the person, then he will try to turn away from that direction, face a different direction, and also if he's not able, then the person make al-istighfar if he fell into this act. Also from the hadith it shows regarding concern that the reverend or the type of respect and reverence that is given to the direction of the Qibla, the direction of the Qibla. So of things that we try to avoid that are not befitting acts regarding to the Qibla, and of these that while fulfilling the call of nature, that we will face the Qibla and the likes. Also the ulama, they discuss regarding Baytul Maqdis. So also of the matter regarding the Qibla, that the next matter that ulama discusses in the matter regarding the person istiqbal wa istidbar, the person facing the Qibla in religion of one's facing the Baytul Maqdis in Palestine, and also having one back towards Baytul Maqdis. That also you have a discussion between the ulama on this matter. That of the ulama, those who mentioned it's haram to do so, to face Baytul Maqdis in fulfilling the call of nature, and of those it is mentioned, and Ibrahim an-Nakhai wa Ibn Sirin, Tahrim dhalik, that Ibrahim an-Nakhai and Ibn Sirin take the position that a person should not face or have one back facing the Qibla, facing Baytul Maqdis. And also the position taken by some of the Shafi'iyah, as mentioned by Ibn Hajar in Fath al-Bari. They mentioned that there's a hadith on the Prophet of Islam that we mentioned concerning the hadith, that is also said of the ulama all the hadith da'if, the hadith of the hadith of Ma'qil ibn Abi Ma'qil al-Asadi, قال نهى رسول الله عليه السلام أن نستقبل قبلتين, that the Prophet of Islam, that he forbade for us to face the direction of the qiblatain, which would be Al-Kaaba and Bayt al-Maqdis, bil-bawl wal-gha'id, by way of when we are urinating or by when we are defecating. But I mentioned that the hadith, as we mentioned before, that أنه رحم الله that discussion between the hadith where of the ulama who all the hadith to be da'if, the hadith to be da'if. that a person called Abu Zayd is majhul. So based upon this hadith, that of the ulama who hold that the hadith is daif. So, but also that min al ulama also take the position that it's disliked. It is disliked for a person to face Baytul Maqdis face Baytul Maqdis or turn our back to Baytul Maqdis while we are fulfilling the call of nature or carrying out the call of nature. That's the call taken by of the ulama. It is disliked, but I mentioned la dalil ala karahiyah, but also there is no clear dalil regarding it is disliked even to do so. But those who say it is disliked, those who say it's haram, but those who mention that there is no clear explicit dalil on this matter which is authentic. That is authentic, some narration, but they are criticized. They mentioned also the third of the matter is regarding, they said istiqbal ash-shams wal qamar. The person facing that where relieving oneself in the direction where direction of the sun or the moon. Also, that mentioned that Ibn Qudam rahimahullah, Sahib al-Mughni qal, yukra istiqbal ash-shams. That is disliked for a person to face the direction of the shams, the sun, wal qamar, bifarajihi, by way of his private parts. But I mentioned there's no dalil for this. There's no dalil regarding that facing that the person it is disliked, or there's no dalil regarding this matter that is authentic. There's no clear dalil regarding this matter. What the Prophet mentioned, walakin sharraku or gharrabu, indicating the person, the main thing is not the Qiblah. That's the main thing. The person should not face the Qiblah in face the Qiblah when doing this act. As for everything else, there's no clear explicit dalil that is authentic regarding is forbidden or disliked to face the sun or the moon or Bayt al-Maqdis. There's no clear dalil for this. So based upon this, that they mentioned there's no dalil. So a person cannot explicitly say it is dislike or haram. So that's concerning matters that relates to this discussion regarding of the adab of qada al-haja. The hadith discuss that one should avoid facing of the Qiblah, the Kaaba, for that direction of the Qiblah or the direction of the Kaaba in relieving of oneself. So the Qiblah or the direction of the Qiblah should be that direction wherever the person is located in the globe, that one should avoid facing that direction or having his back turned when he's carrying out the act of nature, whether urinating or defecating, that he should not face the direction of or do it in that direction. Based upon these hadith and this discussion, so this inshallah ta'ala we have covered this particular discussion regarding of those things that we should pay attention to while fulfilling the act of nature or carrying an act of nature, not facing the direction or turning or having place our backs facing the direction of the Qiblah when doing this act. So this inshallah ta'ala we have ended this discussion. وبالله تعالى توفيق وهدى السبيل والآخر دعوانا الحمد لله العالمين.
No, run it back because Dad's got to do another little topic extra.
Did